Hi guys, AstroCass here, back with a quick astrology update. Thanks for tuning in and joining me. If you're new to my channel, I'm Cassie or AstroCass, Cassandra, whatever you want to call me. And if you've come across my page, you're probably interested in things like fertility, health, fitness, psychology, astrology, spiritual stuff, parenthood. So thanks for joining. Don't forget to subscribe and give this video a like if you enjoy it. I'll also link all of my information below if you would like to help a new mama out who's trying to start her business a little bit more full-time. You can book readings with me, year ahead readings, natal chart readings, for your child's natal chart, all of those sorts of things. But I'll link my information below, and also my social media accounts, because I put a lot of free content on Instagram and stuff like that about transits and astrology and things that are happening that you guys might be interested in. But if you clicked on this video, you are here to have a chat about the Scorpio eclipse. So let's jump into it. I'm just reading off my phone, so don't mind me. I've just got the chart on my phone because it's a little bit easier. So first of all, an eclipse is when this new moon is very close to either the south node or the north node. In this case, it's close to the Scorpio south node. It's not a total eclipse because there is still about 10 degrees difference, almost 9 to 10 degrees difference, but nonetheless it is still classified as an eclipse. So being in Scorpio, it is a water sign, so this is about our emotions, our very deep emotions. Now when we think about Scorpio energy as well, it's very mysterious, kind of dark. Usually Scorpio traditionally rules the 8th house in astrology, and it's ruled by, traditionally, the ruler is Mars, and the more modern ruler is Pluto. And so Mars is all about action, aggression, passion, war. It can be all of those things, also sex. And then Pluto is about, transformation, crisis, breaking things down, rebuilding and stuff like that. So Phoenix rising from the ashes type of thing. So hopefully that gives you a bit of an idea on this fixed water sign. So another way I like to think about it, because it is a water sign, I like to think of like a lake. And you know how lakes can be so deep and so like dark that you can't see all the way down to the bottom. It's so deep. That's kind of like the emotions of Scorpio. It's fixed water and it's deep emotions, and the kind of emotions that you might not see. They can be manipulative and they can be vengeful and stuff like that as well when you do hurt a Scorpio person. So that energy can be quite I guess aggressive in that sense, and it's about finding truth and uncovering secrets and stuff like that. I mean, just think of a scorpion, laying in the sand, and then it pops its head up ready to kind of like, attack anything that's trying to harm it or causing it, any discomfort. So same kind of thing. With that all being said, with this eclipse, this Scorpio new moon eclipse, it's happening at roughly 2 degrees in Scorpio, and we also have Venus very close by at 3-ish degrees, almost 3 degrees. And then the south node's at roughly like 12 to 13 degrees, pretty much 13 degrees. And that in itself is quite powerful. So you've got Venus playing a big role. Now Venus is about love, romance, relationships, partnerships. It's about money. It's about things that we value, our tastes, all of those sorts of things. So these things can be coming up with this eclipse, and they can be quite prominent. And when we think about Venus being in Scorpio as well, it is in fall because Venus usually rules Taurus, and it usually also rules Libra. That's the two signs that it rules. So Scorpio is opposite Taurus, which means that Venus is kind of like a foreigner in this land, and this zodiac sign. It doesn't quite understand what it's doing or where it is. Everything's very new and different and a little bit more challenging for it. So yeah, it's classified as being in fall in Scorpio, so relationships can really struggle with this eclipse. There can be some big hiccups with relationships and money. Let's just say that. And keeping in mind the 8th house is also to do with debts, loans, you know, inheritances, other people's money. So Venus being in that 8th house with this eclipse, because being in that house with this eclipse, I should say, reiterates those traditional 8th house topics that Scorpio rules, because Scorpio usually rules that 8th house. So again, you know, scandals, troubles with banks, with loans, with money. There can be some potentially metaphorical deaths of relationships, and sometimes literal deaths, but that's very, very unlikely. But I'm just giving you all of the, you know, potential options of, you know, events and topics that can come up with this new moon eclipse, or this Scorpio eclipse. And so the sun is our identity, our ego, our vitality. It's how we're shining. And the moon is our security, our inner self. It's our emotions. So, you know, you've got Venus, love, romance, money. You've got our identity, vitality. You've got our moon, our emotions and stuff like that. So it's our vulnerability, our security in that Scorpio 8th house. So it's going to be a little bit of a ride for a lot of people. Not to say that eclipses are always really bad, but they're just really unpredictable, and they do come with very powerful energy. That being said, I probably wouldn't try and manifest with this eclipse, this Scorpio eclipse, and I wouldn't try and do anything, you know, too magical. If I was in your shoes, again, everybody's natal chart's going to experience this eclipse a little bit differently, and eclipses aren't always really negative, as I said. And if you're used to working with this type of energy and it's something that you're trained in and aware of, then, you know, do what you want to do. But just my little personal suggestion would be, I probably wouldn't do any magic or rituals or any kind of manifesting with eclipses, because they are really strong, really volatile, and you don't know what you're going to get. And they can be active from, you know, probably a month before the eclipse actually happens, and you can feel this energy and have these events happening up to like 3 to 6 months after the eclipse. So it's going to be, you know, something that can be playing out. You might feel the energy or have a few things pop up right at the eclipse, but then like bigger events that are you just like, yep, that's linked to the Scorpio eclipse, might happen like, you know, 4 or 5 months down the track. So yeah, that's just my little spiel with all of that. The next thing you kind of want to keep in mind is that Mars is the traditional ruler of this eclipse, this Scorpio eclipse. So you want to check out what Mars is doing as well. And in this case, Mars is in Gemini, and it's not too far away from going into retrograde. So it goes into retrograde like the 30th or right at the end of October. So not too far away from going into a retrograde. So yeah, it's in Gemini, and Mars in Gemini is like very like, so Mars is our action, our energy, and being in Gemini, where Gemini is like, ooh, all over the place, it's air and it's mutable. So it's just like our thoughts and the way we're speaking and taking action can be very much chaotic and all over the place. But that Mars is actually sending a trine to this new moon, so that's quite helpful and quite lovely. It's, yeah, giving trines harmonious energy between Mars and the moon and sun. So it's definitely a boost with the communications and the energy that we're taking with our Gemini house. So collectively there might be, you know, some stuff happening on social media or in the news. You know, people might be taking action, or we might be taking action, or there might be something that makes us a little bit, you know, passionate to drive us to take action on something that's going to be helpful for this Scorpio eclipse. So that's beneficial and helpful there. It's also loosely conjunct, very, very loosely, like it's almost a 10-degree orb away, but Mercury can be somewhat a little bit involved with this new moon as well. I mean, it is very loose, as I said, so it might not be a big key player, but communications with Libra, and Libra to do with our relationships and partnerships and cooperation. So Mercury being in there as well, you know, somewhat close to this eclipse, can bring in important communications, especially in our relationships, our close one-on-one relationships, those sorts of things. So they're all the big aspects apart from Pluto. Pluto is making a square. It is about 5 to 6 degree orb with that square though. So again, this might be quite more on the loose side of an aspect, so it might not be felt as powerfully as some of the other aspects, but there is a square from Pluto. Pluto is in Capricorn at roughly 26 degrees, so that is sending a bit of a square to this new moon. So squares are tensions and challenges. Pluto, as I mentioned before, is you know, crisis, transformation, things being broken down to be rebuilding them. It's a very challenging outer planet when it is in a square. It can be quite challenging, and obviously it is the more modern ruler of this Scorpio eclipse. So yeah, there can be some tensions with our transformation and the things that we're uncovering, and there can be some points of crisis, especially around your Capricorn house. So have a look at where Capricorn is in your chart and what Pluto's doing there. For example, I'm an Aries rising. Pluto is in my 10th house, my Capricorn 10th house. So that's to do with career and your legacy. So, you know, just check out these things. So check out your Gemini house, what's happening there. Check out your Capricorn house and check out your Scorpio house, because yeah, these are going to be big plays in this eclipse, this new moon eclipse. So I think that's all the big aspects, as I said, that I kind of wanted to talk about. There are other aspects going on, but nothing else that is impacting the actual new moon eclipse itself, the Scorpio eclipse. As I mentioned, I wouldn't be doing, usually with new moons, it's a great time to set intentions and manifest and stuff like that. I wouldn't be doing that with this new moon personally. However, it is a great time for reflection, maybe journal what's coming up, practice things, you know, like your deep breathing, you know, do some yoga or some exercise to move your body, move the energy around. I find it quite helpful as well if you usually find it challenging with, you know, new moons or full moons. Sometimes it's good to go outside and just have a look at the eclipse and have a look at the moon and see if you can see anything, or just feel that energy outside, and just breathe through it and just know that these things are going to come and go. And definitely getting a reading will help, because you'll be able to see your chart and see themes, not exactly what's going to happen, but you'll be able to see themes about what's ahead for you, so you can navigate these things a little bit more carefully. You know, for myself, for instance, this Scorpio eclipse is actually, you know, squaring my natal Venus and my natal Mars, and my natal Saturn. And it is also, the transiting Venus is actually squaring my natal Venus and Mars as well. So, you know, Venus square Venus, and then, you know, Venus and Mars square this Scorpio eclipse for me. It is going to be quite challenging, and me being an Aries rising, it's going to be themes around money and relationships and, you know, those sorts of things. So I'm able to be aware of these hiccups that are going to come up, and be aware that there are going to be some challenges and things that are going to be difficult, but it's going to be to help me transform. And it's a time where I'm going to have to, you know, just really be mindful of how I'm reacting and what's happening, and just know that whatever events pop up for me, that, you know, I've got a good support team behind me from spirit and from, you know, my friends and family to navigate through whatever's going to come up. And, you know, I hope that you guys get in touch with your natal charts as well, so that you guys can really figure out what's going on and have a look at these things before they come, because I feel like knowing that something's coming really helps us prepare for it, so we can navigate it a bit easier. You know, don't get me wrong, there's going to be some people that are going to have some eclipses that bring some probably really good things for them, but for those where this is going to be impacting their natal chart quite heavy, and eclipses are heavy anyway regardless, you know, having a bit of a heads up and having, you know, a bit of an understanding on what's happening and why can make things a little bit easier for us to navigate through. So with that being said, stay safe everybody, and I will be bringing you some more content soon. And as I mentioned before, give me a like, follow my page, you know, really I would appreciate any kind of support getting behind me, and I'll keep these videos coming out as much as I can, and I really hope you enjoyed this one. Bye.